welcome to this episode of the Broadway Shuffle. For Zyler, I am Conrad. We are missing Brennan and Clayton tonight. They are at the beach, and Zyler's also out the beach just to celebrate the start of the 2025 football season. Zyler, football season is here. It's underway. Fall camp is on. How are you feeling about everything that we've waited for since last December finally being here?
Yeah, dude, that late July after media days period where there's no fall camp, there's really nothing happening or recruiting. It's just such a dead time as a sports fan unless you're really into baseball. So I'm really excited that we're here. I'm really excited that I'm in Cancun, but even more excited to be recording from Cancun. So, yeah, really, really looking forward to seeing how this team progresses through fall camp. I think there's some interesting stuff that we're going to get into in a second, and we'll also talk Jalen Petty a little bit later and his commitment to the Red Raiders, likely finalizing the 2025 basketball roster. But yeah, really excited to jump into some of the stuff that we've got today. And yeah, Conrad, how are you? I know it's a busy week for you.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. I'm not traveling internationally like you, but for our listeners, just so you know, the Broadway Shuffle is committed to making sure you get your episodes, even if some of us are traveling internationally. So, Zyler, thank you for making the time. I know the listeners just are craving Broadway Shuffle football content. And again, we've got some exciting things coming up in the near future. You're going to want to tune in to every single episode because you're not going to want to miss what's about to happen to the Broadway Shuffle. And so with that being said, if you have not subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also like this video, helps out the show, helps us find more Red Raiders and more Red Raiders find us. And so to get started, Zyler, I want to start with fall camp. Fall camp, like I mentioned, is something we've been waiting for a long time. It's something that's built in anticipation time and time again because of what's been done in the offseason with this football roster. After the first few days of fall camp, what are you hearing? What are you thinking are things that stands out to you as a fan and as a in some ways a media member, I guess a YouTuber, we could put it that way. So what's standing out to you? What are you hearing? And what are you looking for from the reports that are coming out from fall camp?
Yeah, I think one of the ways and the best ways that you should look at fall camp is, everybody should be in the best shape of their life. Everybody's deeper at every position. You hear all these reports from all these other Big 12 teams. Really, the things that I'm looking for are bad news or negative news. As if coach is talking about that, that's probably legit. No coach is out there saying that they think their team is worse than last year or that they're not going to be as good as they were last year, even though inevitably 5-ish teams are going to be worse than they were last year. The stuff that I noticed for Tech is really what I didn't hear. No season-ending injuries. When Joey came out in his initial presser, really the only injuries of note to guys that are, and it was just really guys on the two deep. AJ McCarty is going to be out until a little bit later this week. He's in line to battle for that star role with Michael Dingle. And then Terrell Tillman, one of your depth edge pieces, who was one of your starters last year. He's going to be out till a little bit earlier in this month. The only person that I think is going to be probably on the two deep that's going to miss the first game is probably going to be Cash Cleveland. Just injury note to him, something with the foot, and he's going to miss most of fall camp, but he'll be back. I think Joey said like September 10th, something like that. So maybe he misses a week and a half. Maybe a little bit later. Ellis Davis is another redshirt freshman offensive lineman that you like a lot, and he's going to miss most of fall camp. Everybody else seemed to be pretty good. I think one of the big notes that probably means AJ McCarty being out and just missing maybe the first 10 days of camp. Michael Dingle is going to have the inside track for that star position on the defense. He was kind of penciled in there following the spring, but he's going to get 10 days of unfettered, number one reps. Probably going to be your guy there, and it's going to take a lot for McCarty to unseat him at that spot. Only other kind of random note that I guess, Barron looks good, but they thought he looked good last year, but it looks like he's a full go. Nothing wrong with his shoulder, nothing wrong with anything like that. Like, he seemed completely healthy by all accounts. Nothing of note there for him at this point. So those were kind of the big takeaways that I've had through this point. Conrad, what were you kind of seeing?
Yeah, I think if I'm remembering correctly, when I watched Joey's initial presser, he mentioned something about Chapman Lewis most likely. Well, I think what was that, October? And then seeing how if we need him, but if we don't need him, it felt like to me, at least from the feeling of that press conference, that if they can get that year back for him, this year back, he's just going to redshirt this year and come back in 2026. Am I remembering that correctly from the press conference?
Yeah, and I know that was the plan coming out of spring, that he won't return until we've played at least 8 games He's probably not even going to be cleared until like mid-ish, late-ish October, so he may not even be
Yeah.
healthy enough to play. But yeah, they're going to at least get him a medical redshirt this year, and that's something that I think they're kind of happy about because he didn't get a redshirt year. Brennan Jordan didn't get a redshirt year, so getting those guys an extra year of eligibility is really nice when you can, and if he can contribute at the back half of the year. And if this season goes the way that you want it to, that's 4 regular season games, a Big 12 title game, and then hopefully a playoff game. So he can play, almost half the season while still maintaining an extra year of eligibility. So I don't expect Chapman to be a big contributor this year. I think if your defense is coming along toward the end of the year, he's going to be, kind of a spot player. But something to kind of monitor. But yeah, your starting safety last year is not going to be the starter that you roll out against Arkansas Pine Bluff week 1.
Which I know it's not what he would have wanted. It's not what I would have wanted to see for him, but this year may actually end up being a benefit to us in the future in 2026 and 2027, just him getting that year back and being older, just because the more time you get in a program, the more time you get at a university. I mean, that's just going to pay dividends for you down the line. I think one thing that I've noticed just in what I've been able to see from fall camp is just the encouragement from the running back room. I mean, with 3 guys really truly with Quentin Joyner, I mean, the videos that have been put out and what's been said about him, that guy, I mean, he could just be a total X factor to you. I mean, and I know he did some good things at USC, and USC kind of had some, I mean, USC wasn't a bad running team particularly, but I think him in this offense behind this line with Barron and kind of the new implementation of what this offense can look like, I think he could be dangerous. And also the praise that's being heaped on Jacoby and Dickey. If I'm remembering correctly, Joey also mentioned that Jacoby will be your punt returner and your kick returner as well, which anytime that guy touches the ball, it's just going to be electric. I mean, he's just so fast. He's so athletic and he's so shifty. I mean, he moves so quickly in tight spaces that I think that's a weapon when you have a guy like that. I mean, you have to account for him at every spot of the field. He can make you pay. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not trying to compare him to Devon Achane or Achane. I don't even know how to say it. A-Chain for when he was at Miami or at A&M and now at the Dolphins. He's not the same type of player as that because A-Chain's a little bit bigger than him, but a player like that in space with that top end speed like Jacoby has, I think that's just going to be a big thing for you. And then seeing Dickey really kind of come into his own at the beginning of last year and then a full off season as well, it's just only going to be better. And someone is going to have to step up, right, and be that lead guy, which I would assume would be Joyner just with his age. And I think he's overall a very, very talented back, but you're going to need all 3 of those guys. And Joey mentioned talking about, naming them the committee because all these guys can do so much to help your team win. It just stinks that there's only going to be one on the field at a time, but again, they're going to rotate. So that's something that's been encouraging to me. Zyler, when it comes to receiver, I think that's been something that we talked about a lot because we've lost Josh Kelly. We lost Micah, got Micah back, brought in Reggie Virgil. Caleb Douglas comes back. Coy Aiken moves to the slot. What are you kind of hearing from what that looks like in terms of who's going to be the biggest contributors there? Where are people going to play? How have they been looking this far in fall camp?
Yeah, so one thing that's nice is that Coy, Caleb, and Reggie all missed the spring game. All those guys are full go by all accounts from Joey. So that's a big plus. Coy is moving to the slot, which is going to be an interesting spot for him. Now, if you've read anything on Mac Left, which is, kind of version of the veer and shoot, Coy's really going to get a lot of outside routes. They do a ton of crossing routes when you line up in, let's say 10 personnel, where you've got 2 wide receivers on both sides. Like Coy's going to receive a lot of back shoulder and outside go routes. It's not the traditional slot alignment that you would typically see, but that's going to be interesting for him on that side. You'll have Caleb and Reggie and Micah on the outside. I think TJ West has solidified himself as that 4th guy on the outside, which for him, man, I loved TJ when he was coming in. I think I've got big expectations for him. Maybe not this year, but he's got to break out eventually if it's going to happen. And I'm hoping that he can carve out a role here. I think one thing that's been, I just don't know. It's going to be interesting in this route because your outside receivers do a ton on the inside, if that makes sense. Like they really do run a lot over the middle, kind of unlike most spread offenses where the inside guys run on the inside and the outside guys run on the outside for the most part. So what is that going to look like with Caleb Douglas being over the middle a lot, with Reggie being over the middle a lot? I think Reggie's really going to be your downfield threat. He's got to stay healthy, and him and Barron need to develop the chemistry where Barron can hit him in stride. Don't overthrow him, don't underthrow him. Make sure that you get him a throwable ball. That's something that I think we talked about a lot in the spring is how do you develop this chemistry? A staple of Leftwich's offense is going to be the choice route. And that's where, guys are running across each other. They're running an X. And then when they get to a landmark or a certain point, they decide, whether I do a go, I do a slant, I stop. There's a lot of freedom for the receivers to make decisions there. Barron's just got to be in sync with those guys and understanding, hey, what is this guy going to do? Similar to that Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce vibe, like, I just know where he's going to be. I know how he's going to read that defense. Does Barron trust and understand a lot of these guys to be on the same page based on what he's seeing? It's a much simpler offense than it was last year, and I know everybody says that, but truly the scheme is very simple. It's both that it's been that way on the defense and the offense, which should be good if you have better athletes, which I think we do this year, especially on the defensive line. Really, that's the one spot that I think you have a distinct athletic advantage. That's going to be really helpful. It's going to be really good on the offensive side if they're in sync. If they're not in sync, you're going to see a ton of balls that get thrown and there's just nobody there. Where he thought Reggie was going and Reggie stopped, or Reggie stopped and Reggie went and Barron threw the short route. So that's just going to be something that fans should be looking out for in those first couple games. How in sync are they on those choice routes? And the big defining factor of that is the inside guys, and I know this is technical, they will be crossing and going outside. They'll be crossing in front of the outside receivers. It just makes it hard on the defensive back. Be looking for those. They'll run that 15 to 20 times a game. It's called a choice concept, and they'll run it on both sides. So that's really long answer about the receivers. The chemistry needs to be there more than anything. You don't have to have elite athletes to be good in that scheme.
Yeah. And so fans, if you're listening to this, and I know you come to the Broadway Shuffle for all of your breakdowns on expert analysis on schemes, because Zyler in a separate life would have been an offensive coordinator for a D1 football team, but
I don't think so.
I think so. I think you may get there in this life, actually. I think what Zyler's saying is when there's an incomplete pass because a receiver stops running and Barron throws it in front, or a receiver keeps running and Barron throws it behind, that is equally going to be Barron's fault and the receiver's fault, right? Like that's not going to be, you're not going to be able to blame Barron completely or the receiver completely. I mean, there's a lot of that in this type of offense, which makes it fun, right? I mean, I think that's why you saw at Texas State, why, if you've watched any of the film or you watched any Texas State games last year, you saw why they were so dynamic. I mean, they had some really good players, they had some really good things, but this scheme also allows for freedom. And when you do have athletes that are just better than the other guys, like we do, and like Zyler mentioned, I mean, this could work really well. It's just getting on that same page. And I think that's where, and we talked about this in previous episodes, with Barron missing the spring because of getting the shoulder surgery, that's where those reps would have been really, really nice to have. Because this is something that it's dynamic, it's unique, it's effective, and we saw a version of this with Browse at Baylor, and it was unbelievable with how good they were. There's some differences there, but there are also some crossover as well. But when you see those guys playing together like they can, this really can truly be a dynamic offense to see. But I also think when you're talking about the offense and what you see in terms of the effectiveness of not only the passing game but the run game, who you have to really talk about is the offensive line. We all know that that's kind of been the eyesore for Texas Tech offense of the past few years, just because it's been difficult. I mean, we haven't had a very good group up there. We have better athletes there now. They are also going to play a big part in the passing game, because how are the receivers going to be able to get to those landmarks to make those choices if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw, right? And so you need all parties involved to be effective. Zyler, what are you hearing on the offensive line front from camp? I know we mentioned Cash being out for a while. Do you think that, looking at this group, are there any surprises in terms of where guys are lining up with, different, whether it's, Jados or what's the Howard Sampson, different guy? I just totally blanked on his name. Are there any surprises with that so far in fall camp?
Yeah, I think that the positions, going into fall camp without knowing about the injuries, I thought Catch Cleveland would push for more playing time. He's a freshman All-American, played a lot last year. It's not like he's completely inexperienced. I think where they have it set right now is Howard Sampson, Sharpie in at left tackle. That's not changing. Mm-hmm. Sheridan Wilson is semi-Sharpie in at center. Davion Carter is probably your right guard. And then I think Will Jados is going to be your left guard, which that one to me is the weirdest fit. He's 6'7". He's built like a tackle. It's odd to have him on the inside. That may be weird for throwing lanes for Barrett. That's just a really tall tackle. Sheridan's already tall at 6'5". If that left side of the line is going to be massive. It's going to go 6'8", 6'7", and then 6'5" with Sheridan, then you're going to go 6 foot with Davion Carter. And then that right tackle position, I think, is a battle between Hunter Zambrano and Jacob Ponton. The thing that is a bummer about Cleveland being out is really you're down to like 6 O-linemen that you probably feel okay with. I don't think Vinny Scurry is quite there yet. Still recovering from the injury. He would be that 7th guy. But then Cash Cleveland would have been the 8th guy that you would have liked on the interior. I think you've got some younger pieces that you're kind of excited about. Holton Hendricks is a guy I think is going to factor in a little bit there. But you're not as deep as you were coming out of the spring. Now, it's nice that Ellis Davis and Cash Cleveland, they're not done for the season. Vinny Scurry is going to get healthier. Like, those guys are going to continue to improve. So, not like they're done for the year. You're just a little bit thinner on the offensive line than you probably would like to be at this point in time. Now, the nice thing is season doesn't start tomorrow. Season is, if you're listening to this on a Monday, season is 25 days away or 26 days away, whatever it is. So you got time for guys to get healthy, but that's the one thing that I'm noting. Jado's at left guard feels really weird to me. That's one that I'm not as confident that he'll be there the whole year. Just kind of an interesting deal there. I feel like, we'll just see. I'd love to have Zambrano play, or Scurry play left guard and Zambrano play right guard maybe. But Davion Carter's been so good. He's just short, a little bit limited there. And you got kind of a weird combination that you're going to have to figure out. So tough task for Clay McGuire to figure out what's going to work there. And obviously, man, I see Twitter reps, I see practice reports. I don't see what those guys are seeing in the training room every day, what they see in the film room, what they see in every single practice rep. So they're going to put the best 5 guys out there, or at least the guys that have performed the best in fall camp. What that ends up looking like, I'm not 100% sure yet.
Yeah, 2 things come to my mind after you said that. Number one, just because Davion's short doesn't mean he's not a beast. I mean, Brennan's short, but he can hoop and he can play football, so we gotta show some love to the short guys out there. And then number 2, hearing that we're thin. And I'd read some of those things as well, just real briefly. That scares me a little bit. Because I think as so much has been invested into the offensive line, right? It does not start tomorrow. So we've got a long time, but just the thought of, if you're thinking, and we kind of talked about this on our last episode with Locked On, what could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong is that you're really thin at O-line, and then really, you're not going to, it's just that could be scary, or you got to get, young guys playing time that just probably aren't ready yet. And so I think that scares me, but thankfully, like you said, the season does not start tomorrow. And so hopefully as we can get healthier, as those guys can get more chemistry together, as they can protect each other in practice and make sure that, no one's getting hurt in practice. Cross our fingers. That's what we hope happens, right, as we continue throughout fall camp. But one thing I do want to bring up as well is a man that we've talked about a lot on this show. Formerly the highest rated recruit in Texas Tech football history until Felix committed a few weeks ago, Micah Hudson. His return to the football team has been a story to behold. If you want to see our previous episodes on that, go check those out. But that's something that, as we kind of walked into fall camp, it wasn't talked about as much in terms of what do you expect, what do you think, what are you hearing, what are you seeing, what are you reading about Micah Hudson and his return? Because I think our hope is that he would return and be a contributor. Just like last year, right? We wanted him to come in, and he was getting a lot of hype last year, obviously for various reasons, but we wanted him to come in, play big, play like the superstar he can be. What's kind of his road to redemption? How is his road to redemption starting in fall camp in 2025?
Yeah, I think if you've read the camp reports and you've listened to Joey, it's not odd. It's just, I think Micah, I don't even know how to say this. They're working something special with him right now. I know that he's not like fully practicing with the team. I heard the last presser that we had with Joey, which was Thursday. He was warming up and then he was going into the training room. So he might have an injury he's working through. Nothing has been said. If you've listened to Joey's presser, that's what everybody knows about it. I think he's got to, get on the field, get reps, and get chemistry in order to work through stuff and get the QB's confidence. If the QB's working through 4 different progressions, how does he have confidence in throwing to you? And it's the fact that he's thrown to you a bunch of times. So I think for Micah, that'll be the thing. My expectations are real limited for him. I think he's going to get better as the season goes on, as he gets more comfortable in the offense. He missed all of spring. He's just got to get some time, and we got to allow him to have the appropriate amount of expectations to grow at his own pace, and not place the Jeremiah Smith expectation or the Ryan Williams expectation on him. Let Micah be Micah. I think this scheme's going to be really great for him. It's really simple. It's you're playing on that outside man. When you run those inside routes, like just get open. If you got to stop, if you got to keep running, it's designed for dynamic, versatile athletes just like him. So I think if he's in the scheme and he's running routes, he's going to get open. He's going to be a good player, and then he's just got to get on the field. And so that'll be something to monitor. That'll be something that I think Joey will continue to get asked about. So just kind of keep your eyes and ears peeled for stuff on that. Nothing serious. Doesn't sound like he's injured too badly if there is any sort of injury. But that's just going to be something to monitor from this point.
Yeah. It's just interesting thinking about that whole situation because of how it ended, how the return happened, what the stint at A&M was like, and now being back at Tech. I want nothing but the best for him because I think he's got all the talent in the world, and I think more importantly than anything else, he can help Texas Tech win. And that's what we want. And I'd love to have him at full speed this year because I think he's obviously got the talent. That's not the issue. It's just getting reps, getting practice. I will say if he is hurt though, that would be the only reason. I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, but we got to talk about something.
Joey has
right?
not said that he's hurt,
Yeah.
so I don't think he's hurt. I just don't think anybody really knows what's going on there. So.
Which that's fine. I mean, to be honest, I would totally expect that there would be some type of redemption plan, if you want to call it that, of like, hey, this is what it's going to look like, because I don't know if relationships, I mean, certainly relationships were strained tremendously by what happened at the exit. And so it wouldn't be surprising to me if there was even just for a team, a team camaraderie standpoint, that there would be some steps that he would take to get back on the field. But I trust that whatever's Joey and staff have decided that that's what's best for the team, because they know the team better than us. And so I will say one thing from Joey's pressers that I've noticed and appreciated is that he's been very level, which I really appreciate that. Again, I will never fault the coach for believing in his team or talking up his team. I think that's much better than the alternative. I think that's a good thing. I love a guy that has confidence in his squad, but I think this year, I think he's just measured, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing, because of all the expectations from the outside world are really truly on the Red Raiders, and I think rightfully so. So anything on the defensive side of the ball as we kind of conclude our time talking about and thinking about fall camp? Anybody standing out? How's our buddy Brendan Jordan doing? Have you read anything on him?
I think fine. He's got that starting safety spot locked down. Him and Cole are going to be on the back end there.
It's going to be
it's really good. Stable. I think Mo Horn on the corner, Bryce Pollock on the other corner. Yeah, the starting four on the defensive line. It's Skylar Gill-Howard, it's Lee Hunter, it's Romello Hyde, it's David Bailey. I think David Bailey, we just never really saw media of him in the spring. You never really got to talk to him. If you've watched some of those interviews, man, he is about his business. This isn't fun and games. This isn't, I'm here to have a good time in college and enjoy. This is a business. This is, he's looking to go to the NFL next year, and he's going to play like it. And I can respect that. He's evaluated and made a career choice and looking to further his career prospects. And he's here to be a really good defensive player. And he seems really locked in. You don't always get that sense from certain guys, which is fine. Each guy's got their unique personality, do your own thing. But David Bailey, very serious. He's not on social media really. He is here to get some stuff done, and I can appreciate that.
It's interesting thinking about David Bailey and a guy like him. I mean, coming in from Stanford, obviously the finances were a factor, but thinking about him, looking to the future in terms of where can I go to make the best of my opportunity. And what's interesting is that obviously Texas Tech was competitive in that world as well. Not only the money, but also, hey, I can play next to Lee Hunter, Skylar Gill-Howard, and Romello Hyde. Like I can be the fourth guy in that front. I mean, because that's the thing that people, if you've watched all these guys and watched the tape on them, and that's just the starting front. That's not the guys that are going to be rotating in, because it's not going to be those four every single time. You're going to have different guys coming in as well. You're going to have Charles Esters. You're going to have, you can just name so many guys that are going to come in. What I'm excited to see is how do you try and block that? Like, how do you defend that? Because if you double one guy, the other guy's going to come open. And so I hope that as they because they got some practices together in the spring, but especially in fall camp, as they kind of work on the stunts together and get more comfortable with Coach Wood and his defense, how that works itself out in terms of sacks and pressures and TFLs and forced fumbles and different things like that. Obviously, they're not going full speed, but that's why another reason why looking forward to the season a little bit, these 3 non-conference games are going to be absolutely huge for us because you're going to play other teams. You're going to see how other teams, while being severely under-talented to what you are going to try and stop you, how that's going to happen. So I think as fall camp progresses and they start turning their minds and their heads towards Arkansas Pine Bluff, you're really going to start to see these guys, especially when they get on the field in that game, come into their own a little bit and realize who they are. Because what you do in practice together is one thing, but it's all manufactured, it's all simulated. But when you get out there on the field together in a game under the lights, that's when you're really going to see what people can be.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing that the defensive line's not like the offensive line where they play every single snap. Ideally, your starting left tackle plays every single offensive snap. It's not that way on the defensive side of the ball, and so you're going to see some guys rotate in. Jaden Cofield, Amorian Banks, guys like that are going to play. Anthony Holmes, a really good defensive line transfer that we have not talked about enough. He's going to be really good, and he's going to play 45% of the 40% of the snaps. Like, you're going to see him out there all the time, and I think everybody knows Lee Hunter and Dill Howard. I don't think as many people know Anthony Holmes, and that's another name that you really need to look out for. You've got some guys that are on the interior and on the edge. Esters is going to play. Terrell Tillman's going to play when he's back. Yeah, Chetta O'Philly is probably going to play a little bit.
And Chetta has been following David Bailey. Joey mentioned that Chetta has been following around David Bailey. He says, wherever I see David Bailey, I see Chetta. I mean, that's a really cool thing for the future of your program as well.
And, when you see, like, Chetta has gotten, that was the big thing with him coming out of school, is very fast, dynamic, kind of a speed rusher. He's much, much bigger now. And you'd expect that for a guy that's, you get into a college weight training for 2 years, you're going to have a lot of weight. So excited for those guys, but don't think that those starting 4 are going to play every single snap. You just can't do it. It's too much energy spent. You can't play with that same burst. So that'll be interesting. And then speaking of, Stanford transfers like David Bailey, Jalen Petty, who had originally signed with Stanford, comes over to complete the basketball class that gives you your backup point guard that you've been looking for so desperately. Sneaky addition, guy was scoring 25, 26, 27 points a game out there in Washington. Really, really good player that was signed with New Mexico, then signed with Stanford, and is now with Tech, all before he's played a minute of collegiate basketball. So very much a traveler at this point. But yeah, really excited to get him. You needed another ball handler and you needed another shooter on the roster. I think he's a really, really sneaky good addition that fills a very distinct hole on your roster. No Ben Henshaw. He's going to stay in Australia. He's going to Perth. So you're likely done at the basketball edition spots. I mean, it is August. Fall classes are about to start. Very limited time to actually add somebody. But a sneaky piece of news that's happening during a big football craze that I don't want to actually pass over. Any thoughts on that, Conrad?
Man, I'm just, this football, I mean, I'll speak from a broad perspective. I don't know anything about him, honestly, from a player standpoint. I mean, from what you just told me and what I read when it happened, the stats are impressive. But what I would like to say from a Texas Tech perspective is what you have, at least right now on August 4th, going into this year, you've got arguably one of the most talented. I mean, this is going to be the highest ranked basketball team you've had, right? Going into week one. I mean, you'll be a top 5 team, right? And then you go ahead. Sorry.
Maybe not top 5, probably top 10.
Okay, top 10.
I feel like 90% sure they'll be in the top 15.
Okay. This is just one of the highest rated basketball programs or basketball rosters you've ever had. Then you've got this football season. I mean, this year for the Red Raiders, 2025, 2026 sets up really, really well for your athletic department. We haven't even talked about softball, and hopefully baseball gets back on track. We know track is going to be good. I mean, this could be an absolutely legendary year for Texas Tech athletics as a whole.
Yeah, I think this will be the first, and I would love for someone to tell me the actual stat. I don't remember the last time, and this is all dependent. I don't know that your football team will start in the preseason 2025. I feel like they will, just with all the noise they've made. I don't remember the last time we started a preseason in the top 25 in football and basketball. Once again, I don't know that you'll do it in football. I think you'll receive votes. I think you'll be close. Do you think we'll make it there? I think we will, but
Dude,
I don't know.
all this money spent at least deserves you a top 25 ranking to start the season before anyone's played a game, right? Like, come on.
Which
Like that's
you'll hear me throughout the season. The AP top 25 means truly, like, it's worse than it's like it's just newspaper writers around the country that vote on that. And if you're an AP poll voter, you do a great job, whatever. But not necessarily meaningful, except for putting a little number next to your name when you start the season. I think you'll end up in the preseason top 25, but
right. You have to, right? Like it just and the thing
I
is,
mean, you
like,
don't have to.
I mean, you're right. You don't have to, but I would just be with as much noise as has been made. I just feel like that's a logical outcome of this whole offseason. Like, yeah, slap a 24 next to Texas Tech, and
Exactly.
at some point, the Broadway Shuffle may vote in the AP poll. You never know, and at that point, our tune will completely change. We will say it means absolutely everything, but right now, it it doesn't mean very much to us.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting. Really exciting week though, man. I mean, when we get to this coming Saturday, you'll be a week away from three of your Big 12 teams and two teams that you play. They'll kick off their season. Two of them will kick off in Ireland. One of them is going to kick off against Fresno State with Kansas. So you're, less than 20 days away from watching real college football on your TV. I'm super excited. It's so great that the week 0 slate has teams that we play. So it's like you can actually watch it with some interest. It's not
Mm-hmm.
Florida State versus Georgia Tech, which I think was kind of fun, but ultimately meaningless. So I'm really excited about all that. And yeah, you're going to get more fall camp reports. And then it's going to go radio silent when they go to game week, man. It's going to be, you're not going to hear any news on the players. You won't hear anything till they trot out there on August 30th, which I think we'll all be there. Will you be there?
I will not be there. No, well, I don't know. Actually, you never know, man. The 2025 Texas Tech football season is only going to happen once. And that's the kind of way I'm thinking about all the games and things like that. But let me ask you this. I mean, we are close. We're not far away. It's going to be here. We're going to go to sleep and it'll be here. It'll be nighttime in the Jones against Arkansas Pine Bluff. Looking at fall camp and really the next three-ish weeks that we have left of it, what's the one piece of news, the 1 to 2 pieces of news that you want to hear and the news that you don't want to hear? I feel like the news you don't want to hear is obvious, but I won't steal your thunder.
Yeah, and news that I would like to hear, things that I'll be looking for if you're a Tech fan and trying to parse out news about your team. I would be looking for who gets mentioned at right tackle. That would be just something that I'm monitoring and watching. Other piece would be how secure is Ben Roberts' position at the second inside spot? How hard are John Curry and Bryce Ramirez pushing him? Is Mo Horn a lockdown starter at the second cornerback spot? I know he won it last year, but Dante Balfour will push him for it, and your boy Matthews will push him, and you've got some younger guys. And then at the safety position, I know that this is one thing that I did note from the pressers. I don't think Joey's super high on his safety group. I think he really likes Cole. I think he likes Brendan. After that, it is all redshirt freshmen. You're looking at Ashton Hampton, Oliver Miles, Peyton Morgan, guys that have zero, less than 25 snaps on defense. So really, really young pieces. So just be watching to see who maybe emerges there. Those would be the things that I'm looking for. Things that I don't want to see is obviously injuries. If I could pick something that's not injuries, a very obvious thing, I don't want to hear stuff about, guys just having to get more consistent with the offense when it comes to the scheme, like wide receivers and quarterback. Like, that's one of those things that I think can be fixed, but it's just really hard to develop if you're looking to do it in a really short amount of time. That'll be one thing that I'm kind of watching for.
Yeah. I'd agree with you on the news I don't want to hear. I do not want to hear about any injuries. That's obviously the dream. If that happens, I will honestly be shocked just because it is football. It is a contact sport. It is something that you're hitting other human beings. I mean, that's not something you do time and time again and don't see injuries from, right? That just kind of, that's just what happens, right? So I don't want to hear about injuries, but I also do want to hear. I want to hear that the offense is moving fast. I want to hear that things are clicking. Like that's really what I want to hear. I'm not worried. I mean, even Joey said in his presser about Barron and what left which saw. What Max said to Joey is like, okay, I see this is different. Like the tempo that this moves at with Barron in there is just different. That's no disrespect to Will. That's no disrespect to Mitch. It's just Barron is a fifth-year senior. He's been here. This is his fourth different offense. Yeah, is it fourth different offense, right? No, third.
He played with Yost, Kitley, or no, Cumbie.
No, he did not play with Yost, did he? Okay,
Cumbie, Kitley, because Kitley was the coordinator for 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah,
3 years with Barron, and then it was 1 year of Cumbie, and then this will be left, which will be his fifth.
Yeah, so 3. I mean, he's played in 3 offenses, right? I mean, that's a. I mean, now some people do it different every year, but I want to hear the offenses moving along, that zipping, and that things are going really well. That's my hope. But we'll see what happens, man. That's why we're here on the Broadway Shuffle, to talk tech sports and to talk about fall camp and to talk about basketball when news happens as well. So. Well, for Zyler and Conrad, thank you for listening to the Broadway Shuffle. Brennan and Clayton, if you're listening this far, which we know you are, we missed you, and we're looking forward to getting us all back together. So for Zyler and Conrad, we'll see you next time on the Broadway Shuffle. Wreck 'em.